we're going to look into the measure of central tendency. Okay, but what is that exactly? Why we talk about measuring? What is central and what is tendency? When we are having a business question in front of us, for example, someone with a restaurant is going to tell you, I would like to know when I'm going to have the maximum number of clients in my restaurant. You're now facing a research question. And for that research question, you will need to get data and you will need to find the data, find the trends, finding a way to show the trends to your again customer, and then to draw conclusions and to give insights, to talk about the value of what you have done. And based on what you will give as a result of your research to the owner of the restaurant, the person is going to be able to adjust the decisions made for the business. That was just an example of a restaurant. Now imagine you're having insurance brokers or insurances. They would like to know what is the average age of people who are coming to ask for an insurance. Now, an insurance can be for a house, for a car, for, again, a business. It can be for a medical office. It can be for a playground. Okay, it can be for any type of business. In this case, you still have to formulate your research question. So it's usually how many people come, how much should be the cost of um, a product, how many people are from which age ranges are coming to get what type of, for example, insurances. You may also look into real estate, for example, professionals. They would like to know what's the average price of a house in a specific area. Okay, for this, we will need to look into prices of houses in different areas and then to get that primary data to show a way to present it and then to do some analysis, trend analysis, for example, or any relationship in between what you observe with different variables from the population, such as their age, gender, again, their salary, etc. So now we understand that we are dealing with a research question and we are dealing with the data that we are gathering through different means. The data that you have now needs to be represented somehow. We have to show this. How you are going to show a big amount of data? Okay, you're having prices of houses, but you have prices from $1 million to $2 million, and you have 60 different prices. This is where we look into a measurement. We want to measure. These are numbers. And when we talk about central, so don't forget, we talk about measure of central tendency. So we need to measure and we need to present, or I would say to demonstrate or show the measure. We also have I would say the term central. It means that we need to find a central point in any big data, any data, in order to be able to talk about that data. I know that you may say it doesn't mean that much. You are right. When we are looking into a central, I would say, tendency, obviously that center is just specific to a specific context. It can be the price of houses in a specific area, not all of the areas in the city, of course, and this changes. But this is a measure for us that we can show. So when we talk about a measure of central tendency, we are looking into the central point, just a central point that we can represent because we would like to talk about, again, the data that we gathered. Now you may say, in this case, are we going to use averages? Yes, we may use averages, but in specific cases. That's what we are going to see today. You may also say, are we going to look into, again, a population where this is distributed, again, normally? We are going also to look into that, because when we talk about a normal distribution, we are talking about a homogeneous population, and we are looking into the central point, which is the mean. And if we look into the number of frequencies, larger, or I would say lower or higher than the mean, the value of the mean, in this case, this is a normal distribution. But if this is not a normal distribution, so you don't have the same number of cases, again, before or after or on both sides of the average value. In this case, how are you going to present your data? Again, I talk about data presentation here. I'm not talking about any statistical analysis for now. I'm talking about having a central point that will allow us to start talking about the data. So let me go over the real life examples, and we are going to see what are the cases where we use the mean, the median, and the mode. And then we are going to go over again some slides, some lecture notes, in order to drill down. But I don't want to start this lecture by telling you that the formula for again, for calculate the mean is this, and then to give you 200 exercises where you are going to have multitudes of data where you are going to calculate the mean, and you don't understand at the end why I have done so many calculations. Okay, I understand this is a mean, but how I can use it in business. And I just told you, and we are going to go over that. So before starting this the lecture notes, which is again the continuation of what I'm going to tell you, allow me to give you real life examples. You're going to use the mean, the median, and the mode. The question is that in business, where I'm going to use the mean, how I can use it, why I do the calculations, how about the median, how about the mode, and the other question is that how we are going to apply that in order to talk about the data that we gathered, how we are going to be able to use this in order to make business decisions. It's very interesting. Okay, so it's from the simple, uh, I would say, fundamentals or principles down to or up to business decisions. So let's talk about the real life examples where we do use the mean, the median, and the mode. I'm going to read the following sentences before we start our analysis. Okay, so first of all, the mean, median, and mode are the three metrics that are commonly used to describe the center of a data set. So when we talk about measure of a central tendency, we need metrics. We need metrics to measure. And we are looking into a center of a data set. We start talking about the center of a data set because we have, again, several points, and we need to, again, give to that point, to that data, some pattern to classify that. So now, the quick definition of each metric. The first metric or measurement is called the mean, and this is the average value in a data set. The second measurement for the central tendency is the median. This is the middle value in a data set. And of course, you have formulas in order to measure those numbers. The third measure for central tendency is called the mode. And the mode is the most frequently occurring values in a data set. You might ask, which one is the best one? First of all, it will depend on the distribution of your numbers. Secondly, you may choose any of those. It will depend on the context. It will depend on your research question. Which one is the best one, best measure to talk about or to explain a data set? It will depend again on your research question. But allow me to go over these measurements, and then I'm going to give you some examples in order to make it more concrete, more clear for everyone. So that when you see that you are going to calculate a mean, or you are going to measure the median or a mode, you're going to understand, okay, why you have done that. So first of all, allow me to show you the normal distribution curve that you see here. In many books, we talk about the bell curve or the bell-shaped curve, where we know that half of the population has lower values and the other population, the other half, has a higher values compared with the value of the central measure. So in this case, if we have a normal distribution, the mean and the median and the mode are the same. This means that the average value will be the mean, the middle value in the data set is the mean, and the most frequently occurring values are here, is here. It's interesting because sometimes we do the opposite. We don't know if our distribution is normal. Our question is, do we have a normal distribution? Then we are going to measure the mean and the median and the mode, and we are going to see that if they are the same values, then we have a normal distribution. It's very interesting. Now you may say, but why we need to know about the normal distribution? We need to know about the normal distribution because if we would like to, again, compare two groups, if we are in a project where we need to do some statistical analysis, if we have a normal distribution, we will have a separate sets of tests that we use, that we don't use in a skewed distribution where, as you can see at the bottom here, we have this distribution which is skewed. So I repeat again, when we are having a normal or a bell-shaped curve of our values, here can be the frequencies here, and here the numbers, we have the mean, the median, and the mode that are the same. And if we are now having a skewed distribution, like here, our mean is not the same value than the median or the mode. It's very interesting if and when you would like to show or talk about your results of your research. Now, this is what we call a negatively skewed distribution as opposed to positively skewed distribution. And here again in the middle, we have the symmetrical or normal distribution. Now you may say, okay, I understand fully all of these different definitions, but what I can do in a business? What are the business insights? What's the value of these calculations? Again, we talk about the measure of central tendency. And I am going to go back to you as working with someone who has a restaurant. The person would like to know when during the day people are coming because he or she, the owner, needs to buy products, needs to hire more or less people, needs to maybe hire a security guard if they are having too many clients. They need to have more or less parking spots. They need to know how many clients are coming. They may need to provide services, but those services, when we provide them, they are costly as well. We want those services to be cost effective. So we would like to know when during the time, the daytime or nighttime, we have higher number of customers so that we are going to provide those services at that time. Now you understand that when you go to any hotel, for example, you may see that the restaurant is closed between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. Why? That's because if the restaurant is opened, it has its cost. But if we don't have anyone or just a few customers from 2 to 5 p.m., obviously it's not worth it. Business side, we're talking about the business side. For the business, it doesn't make sense to have the restaurant open. So now you understand why we are looking into the number of customers per day, per specific time. And when you look into the number of customers in a specific time, you will see that this is not a normal distribution. You don't have, for example, customers starting to come at 8 a.m. and then they increase their number. It goes up to 200 customers and then it will decrease down to 8 p.m. We don't have a bell-shaped curve for the, again, for a number of customers coming every hour to a restaurant. In this case, measuring the mean doesn't make sense in this context. This is why we look into a distribution which is not a normal distribution. We call that here for this case is a negatively skewed distribution, where for that restaurant, for example, we know that no one is, I mean, we have more and more people coming during the time. This is the time here from 8 a.m., for example, to 8 p.m. And here, this is the number of customers coming to a restaurant. And then if that was a specific restaurant, we will see that people are coming mainly after 12, after 2 p.m. And then the highest number of people coming to a restaurant, in this case, would be about 8 p.m. or 7 p.m. Now, the business decision is based on your findings. So what you have done is that you did sit in a restaurant or you stayed outside of a restaurant and you were just looking into the number of people at each hour going to restaurant. You could have done, of course, more research by looking into the what services those customers are taking are using, what type of food they are eating, how many customers are coming. Are they coming in groups? Are they coming alone? Are they buying again again specific items, light items, cheap items, more costly items? So you can really drill down when you are going to do a business analysis. And again, we use the measure of central tendency in order to make business decisions. So we already looked into a normal distribution. And again, don't forget, in a normal distribution, the mean, the median, and the mode are the same values or very similar. So we know that this is a normal distribution. Hence, if we need to do statistical tests as well, we will be able to use statistical tests for normal distributions. And if we have a skewed distribution where the mean and the median and the mode are not the same values because we don't have a normal distribution, in this case, the statistical tests are also going to be different. For example, in the normal distribution, we use a student t-test or chi-square. Here, for the skew distribution, we look Wilcox test of a Wilcoxon test, for example. There are several tests as well. Now, just to recapitulate, if you see the mode and the mean and the median are the same, we have a normal distribution. And this is the measure of the central tendency. If we are having the mode, which is larger than the median, let's say larger than the mean, then we have a negatively skewed distribution. This is helpful when we are, again, making a graph, which is the frequency based on I would say the observations here. In this case, this is just one of the graphs that we can show in our business analysis. Now, allow me again to repeat what we learned before. I'm going to give you practical examples of the application of what you're learning in this course, mainly for today's class on the mean, median, and mode in business. So I repeat, the mean, median, and mode are the three metrics or measurements that are commonly used to describe the center of a data set. We need to describe a center and then to start doing the interpretations of what we find. Now, the mean is the average value in a data set, and there's a formula for that. The median is the middle value in a data set, and there is a way to just observe the middle value. And of course, we have the mode, which is the most frequently occurring values in a data set. So we will be able to observe it when we look into our data set. Now, individuals and companies use these metrics all the time in different fields to gain a better understanding of data sets. This is where we talk about the application of what you're learning in business. So the business insights, the values. So I'm going to give you some examples, and I'm going to explain those examples in different fields of the business. The first one, I'm going to give you three uses of them. I would say use for the mean, one for median, and one for the mode in the, I would say, healthcare sector. So we here are giving you examples about the insurance analysts and what they do, again, in the healthcare industry. For example, insurance analysts often calculate the mean age of the individuals they provide insurance for, so they can know the average age of their customers. Why? That's because we will now be able to have a population target, okay, target for the population, where we are going to do more advertisement about the insurances to that specific age range. And we look into what are the different social media types that are used by these people. Okay, for example, again, this is for the advertisements, of course, but this is also important because we would like to know how we can reach to those people. So where they go usually? Are they reading newspapers, or are they receiving email alerts from different websites for one extreme to another one? Or we would like to know, for example, how much money they earn, because we would like to adjust the price of the insurances based on how much money customers can pay. We may, for example, see that we have 2 million potential buyers, or those who are going to pay for insurances. So let's say that if you are having, you're aged between 18 and 25, you have 20% off. We give that discount, but we know that we will now attract 2 million, a million people because of a 20% discount. I can give you the example of insurances for people who are 50 plus. That's because people with an age of 50 plus, of course, they can pay, so insurance may be higher. But if we give them a discount, they will again buy more. We'll have more clients for the insurance for ages 50 plus. But on the other side, we know that people age 50 plus, they are taking their car, if that's a car insurance, less often than someone who is 30, 35 years old. Now you understand why we use the mean and how we are going to make business decisions. Now, another example, and this one is for the use of median in the healthcare industry, and here I'm talking about the insurance, of course. Actuaries often calculate the median amount spent on healthcare each year by individuals so they can know how much insurance they need to be able to provide to individuals. Very interesting, because here, as you know, insurances, they have a pool of money. So how they work is that they are going to have people who pay for their insurances every month, and the insurance are going to accumulate that money. It's going to be a pool from which the insurance is going to pay for different healthcare expenses for a few individuals. But what happens is that not all of the insured people are going to use the insurance services all at the same time. If not, we would not be able to have any insurance. They would just close their doors. So here we are looking into, again, how much money is spent per month, for example, per person. We would like to know what is the, in average, it's not an average here, but what is the idea that we can have about the payments that the insurance has to pay for a specific population. So we look into the media. Now you may say, does it help to do exact calculations? Not necessarily. It's give us a rough idea, but it gives us an idea about, again, the expenditure or how much we spend on the healthcare each year by individuals. Now let's go over the use of the calculation of the another metric for this measure of central tendency, which is the mode, and we're going to look into its use in the healthcare industry. We're going to talk about the insurance. So actuaries also calculate the mode of their customers, the most commonly occurring age, so that they can know which age group use their insurance the most. And again, by knowing about having this idea, and again, it's not an average, this is just a range. We're going to look at the range of the population with a specific, with a range of ages, and we are going to see how we are going to reach out to them. Again, I gave you the example of social media, but again, which social media is really where the majority of people from that age range are going to be, or how we are going to reach them. Maybe the majority of them, they are in colleges or universities. Maybe they are all working, again, going to a concert, for example. In this case, we are going to focus on sponsoring the concert and then to do our advertisement in a concert before, of course, not during the concert, but this is a performance. But what I'm saying is that you have been to many concerts as well. You have been going to many social events as well. And I'm sure that you saw sponsors who are paying $2,000-3,000, sometimes more, $60,000 or $100,000 sometimes, in order to have their advertisement just at the entry of the concert, just at the entry of the event. Maybe on the stage, on the background of the stage, you have this agency or this, not this other business where you see their advertisements, or sometimes you have TVs on the, again, on the ceilings, and then you have different movies that are showing different advertisements from the sponsors of that event. But those sponsors, they decided to become sponsors for the event based on the fact that they know about the mode, so about the most commonly occurring age of the customers or potential customers, and they know that those customers, they go to that type of event. So I understand that we use the measures of central tendency in order to make business decisions. And I gave you examples of a mean use of the mean, median, and mode in the health industry, of course, healthcare, but related to insurances. Now that you know more about this, let's exercise that together. Okay, obviously, I'm going to read and give you examples, this time in a real estate. That's a business, and we look into the business insights. But then I want you also to think, I'm not asking you, of course, to intervene, just to think about, okay, how I can use, again, the measure of central tendency if I am working with in the real estate industry. So here, the example is that for the mean, real estate agents calculate the mean price of houses in a particular area so that they can inform their clients of what they can expect to spend on a house. Very interesting, because it's not just for the real estate agents. What happens is that the owners of houses also, they will look into the price range of houses in their area, and if they would like to sell their houses, they cannot give again an extraordinary I would say price. It must be within the price range that we can find in that area. Now, when we can use the median, real estate agents also calculate the median price of houses to gain better idea of the typical home price, since the median is less influenced by outliers. Outliers is when you are having, for example, in an area, houses between 1 million and 1.5 million dollars, and you have one or two houses at 20 million dollars. These are outliers, and we don't use the value of, for example, I would say the value that we get from the outliers in the calculation of the median. It means that if, for example, you have, as I gave you the example, houses between 1 and 1.5 million dollars, we are going to calculate the central tendency, which is the median here, only for houses between 1 and 1.5 million dollars. If we have a house at 10 million, 20 million, these are outliers. We don't take them into account when we measure the median. Then you are also have the use of the mode in the real estate industry. So real estate agents also calculate the mode of the number of bedrooms per house so that they can inform their clients on how many bedrooms they can expect to have in houses in a particular area. And this is another very interesting concept that of course, I'm going to cover that now, which is having a mode, but we can have two modes. We can have bimodal measures, and we can have three modes. We can have multimodal measures. And again, here, allow me to show you just one graph or two and then come back to what we are talking about. So I was talking about the mode, and I was telling you that real estate agents can, for example, look into the number of bedrooms in houses in an area, and then based on the modes, they are going to say that in this, for example, to their clients, they can say that in this area, we have the majority of houses, they have two bedrooms or four bedrooms or six bedrooms, not three or five or seven. So this is a trimodal measure of the central tendency. And for this, I'm just going to scroll down before coming back. Here, for example, here you have a bimodal um, distribution. So here we are looking into the average body weight, and this is the average body weight for the female population and the average body weight for the male population. Here we are looking into a diet, and we gave, for example, we gave the diet to 200 people, half of them being female population, half of them being male population. And we looked into the effect of the diet after 3 months. And we found out that for the female population, we have an average of 166 pounds, while for the average male population, we have 196 pounds. So here, this is a bimodal distribution. So we don't have one central point, we have two central points. So we call that bimodal. And you will also see multimodal as well. Okay, for example, at the bottom here, we have a scientist who is looking into the most common height of the three different species. These are plant species. So that scientist observed that we have, for the number of plants that the scientist observed, the scientist measured the height in inches of each plant and found out that we have, you see, it's not a normal distribution. This is a non-normal distribution. You can also see that you have one mode, two modes, and three modes. So the conclusion from this research or this observation is that for different species, this species number three, for example, we have the mode which is seven, number of plants, where they have, of course, again, 3 inches high. And then in the other categories, we have plants that are 8 inches tall. In another category, we have plants that are 15 inches tall. And these are the modes. So you understood that we can have unimodal, bimodal, or multimodal, again, distributions. And in this case, we don't talk about the average. We cannot talk about the average, but we need to have central points. And this is how we are going to express the information, the results that we obtained from our data. Now, coming back to the examples for the use of the mean and the median and the mode, I'm going now to give you an example of those three measures of, again, central tendency in human resources. So these are human resources in a company. When they are measuring the mean, again, they are going to calculate the mean salary of individuals in a certain field so that they can know what type of average salary to offer to new employees. So what they do is that they are having a position of a manager, IT manager, for example, in a company. They are looking into how much an IT manager is being paid at that specific time by other companies, by looking into, again, the salaries or different websites, or maybe they can just have a survey, or you have firms that are having surveys on how much people are paid as, I mean, per their occupation. Okay. And then those human resource managers, they are going to look into the mean of the salaries for a specific job, and they are going now to offer the same, um, um, I would say, range of salary to their new recruits. Human resources can also use the median. So human resources managers also often calculate the median salary in certain fields so that they can be informed of what the typical middle salary is for a particular field. This is again when we don't have a normal distribution, as you can see at the bottom here. Here you can see the histogram of skewed, again, continuous, that's what we call. And here we have the frequency or number of cases for different salaries. And you see that we have people, for example, who are earning $6,000-7,000 per year. We have now of the frequency of 40 here, people who are earning, I would say, less than $20,000 per year. Here we have people who are earning $25,000 per year. I'm giving you approximations, of course. The median here is 27,851, which is here. And then we have less and less people receiving higher salaries. So we may have just one person earning $180,000, another or two people here. One person maybe receiving about 130, $40,000. And then what you see is that this is not a normal distribution. This is a skewed distribution or frequency. So here we need to do a different measurement. Here we are going to look into the median, which is 27,000. Having the mean here, it doesn't give us too much information, but when we talk about the median, we can now talk about what the typical middle salary is going to be. Then we also have the mode. So in the human resources field, the managers also calculate the mode of different positions in the company so that they can be aware of the most common position of employees in their companies. Here again, we can go back to the multimodal here, and then we can look into different positions. And we can see that for some positions like the staff, we have much more staff than, for example, project leaders, but we have also too many managers and we don't have enough project managers. And of course, here we should not have too many, I would say, executives neither. So we can look into the distribution of the positions in a company. And again, what is in for us is that it gives human resources department to manage the number of those positions in a company so that the company has enough manpower and we are not again having too many employees for doing a specific job where we just need a few employees for that. So it's cutting the cost of the company while not affecting the everyday business quality. So now you understand again how and why we are using different, again, measures of the central tendency. Now let's go over the marketing. Now the example for the marketing is that, for example, marketers often calculate the mean revenue earned per advertisement so that they understand how much money their company is making on each ad. Very interesting to look into, again, the average or the mean of the revenue for each advertisement. They also look into the median because it's not a normal distribution. For the median, marketers also calculate the median revenue earned per advertisements so that they can understand how well the median ad performs. And for the mode, marketers also calculate the mode of the type of ad used. For example, an ad used for the newspaper for a specific age range of the population, TV for another age range of population who may watch more TV, listen less to the radio or to any social media, or not reading newspapers, for example, so that they can now know which type of ad, again, their company using the most or should use. So here I would like to go back to the multimodal distribution, where here we can look into the again the frequency of the use of the ads. Now this can be social media, here this can be a newspaper, here it can be again maybe using advertisements in the artificial intelligence language models, because that is being done as well, meaning that in the AI like algorithms, while it is processing and giving the answers, it will also take into consideration that some companies are offering services related to the topic of the search for which the AI language model is giving the answers to the, I would say, to the user. I see that, I would say, every day. When you're using next time the language models using artificial intelligence, such as Chat GPT or U.com, or Copilot or any other of those language models, you can search for some topic and you can see that in the answer, suddenly part of the answers that you receive, you see some type of name of a company that you never heard about. And it says, yes, this company, by the way, is offering this type of services. Okay, so this is another way to do the advertisement. It's penetrating into the field, I would say, of the universe of artificial intelligence tools that we are again using. And in this case, coming back to the multimodal distribution, we see that we have now, based on our observations, we can now choose a specific media in order to do the I would say the advertisements that are effective. Perfect. So okay, so here I will, okay, this is one also, this is again a frequency, this is the age of patients in years, and here you have again a normal distribution, and this normal distribution, again, it's because the mean and the median, even and the mode, are all very close to each other. Okay, perfect. So, in a nutshell, that was what we needed to cover today. That was about the real life examples using the mean, median, and the mode. So now you understand very well that when you are now having your data, your primary data, or even a secondary data that you would like to reanalyze in order to apply that to the business, since we talk about business insights, you can look into the distribution first, the distribution of your data, of the values. And then when you have the mean that is equal to the median and the mode, in this case, we know that we have a normal distribution. Now, how we are going to apply that to the business, I already gave you examples of in real estate, for example, industry, in the restoration industry. It can be in, again, in human resource industry, we are going to look into the averages, like the average salary. And then when you would like to hire someone, we are going to offer the average salary based on the market values. So that's how, again, manager of human resources, they do now. We would like to have a highly qualified individual. In this case, we look into the, I would say, the salary in the market, and then we are going to increase by 10 or 20% that salary, and then we are going to offer a higher salary based on the existing, I would say, average salary in the market by other companies, in order to hire, again, candidates that are more qualified, I would say, or very qualified. And of course, when we are using the mean or median or mode, it allows us to, of course, talk about the measures of the central tendency. We are now talking about, sorry, about, again, the characteristics of the market. But at the same time, learning about those characteristics is allowing us to make business decisions. So now that we looked into, again, the mean, median, and mode, we're going to now go over some examples with numbers. So every numerical data set has an average value that represents the weight of its array value. There are many different types of average. So today we will introduce you to three of the most popular average values. These are measures of central tendency. Again, these are the mean, median, and the mode. So as we can see, when we have a normal distribution, the mode, median, and the mean have the same values. While when we have a left skewed distribution, the mode, the value of the mode is higher than the value of the median, which is higher than the value of the mean, as opposed to a right skew distribution where we have the opposite. Now let's go over just an example, a numerical example. Here we are looking into the prices of pizza in New York City and in Los Angeles at a specific time. The index here is just used because in a database we do add again some information and we just put the index. So I'm not going to talk about the index because this is just a number of lines for us. What we can see here now is the again price of the pizza, of a slice of pizza in New York City at different places. So we went to place number 1, place number 2, place number 3, place number 4. We went over 11 different places in New York City, and we just took this primary data, which is the price of one slice of pizza. And we also went to Los Angeles. We went over 10 different areas, places, and we also wrote down the amount or the cost of one slice of pizza. Now, don't forget that when you look at the New York City, the value 1 followed by 2, 3, and then 9 and 11, they are not outliers. But the value of $66 for a slice of a pizza is an outlier. So we don't take this into account if we would like to measure the again the median. Now, when we are looking into the mean, and this is again the formula for the mean, and of course we can again apply that, we will see that this is the average, the mean or average price of a slice of pizza in New York City. So what we can see now is that this is a way to just say that the average price in New York City for a slice of pizza is, again, I would say is about 11, the average. Now, when we look into the median, this is a different way to look into this. So for the median, this is the middle value of a sorted data set. So here we look into the values 1, 2, 3, 3, 10, 60, 11, and we see that we don't look at the 66 because for the median, this is an outlier. We don't take that into consideration. For the New York City is 6, the median. And for Los Angeles is 5 plus 6 divided by 2, so it's $5.5. So now when you are going to write your, I would say your analysis about the cost for comparing the cost of a slice of pizza in two cities, you are going to just put in a table or write in a paragraph about the cost, which is $6 in New York City, which is a little bit higher than in Los Angeles, which is 5.5. You can also look into the mode. So here, this is the most frequent number. So that's a number that occurs the highest numbers of times. So in New York City, we have $3. Okay. So in New York, again, in Los Angeles, you can see that again, we can say that we don't have no mode because again, we don't have any repetition of a number. So 3 here, 1, 2, 3 is the highest number of the frequency. So this is the mode. Now you may say, okay, but which one is better? Which one I should use? Should I use the average? So New York City is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 3 plus up down to 66. And then when you do the sum of these costs, and then you divide by 11, which is the number of the cases, you're going to end up having 11. But this 11, does it help us to do any business analysis? Does it help us to understand about the central tendency? Does it say anything? Look, it will depend on the context. It will depend on your research question. It will depend on what your again your customer is asking you, because just calculating a mean and then to say this is the data, this is the mean without any explanation, it doesn't help. And the explanation is just the tendency that we are talking about. So talking about the measure of the mean just stand alone, it doesn't help. You have to explain it. You must have a question first, then to do the calculations. And then when you find those numbers or those values, you can now start talking about or doing the analysis and talking about your business analysis. So I cannot tell you which of those is, again, more accurate. It will depend on the type of data and your research question. But we have a formula for calculation of the mean, and then we also have, again, a way to calculate the, again, the median and, of course, the mode. Perfect. So now, which measures is the best? As I already told you, there is no best measure, but but using only one is definitely worst. So we always use two measures, and we use those measures when we are explaining our, I would say, data and the tendency that we talk. Now, how you're going to use Excel in order to measure any of these measures of central tendency, you can find that here, of course. So you have the mean, the average, etc., which is, again, this is the formula for Excel. The median is this, and the mode is this. Of course, you can also use Python, you can use R statistics, you can use SAS or SPSS. The aim of our lecture is not to go over specific tools that you can use, again, for calculation of these measures of central tendency in your data set. We covered this just to talk about, again, different types of distributions, the measures of central tendency, and of course, what are the base cases where we can use them in order to explain the data sets and the trends that we can find in the data set, in order to also apply them into the business and to make business decisions.